and welcome to my channel. No matter what we do, I don't think we ever forget about our mums, even when we're busy doing something important. Our mums are somehow present in our lives in the background. But it's good to have a special day when we give our mums our undivided attention and put everything else aside. I hope this Mother's Day will be a happy day, with you spending it with your mum or thinking about your mum. Because not everyone can be with their mums for different reasons. Maybe you're a mother yourself. I wish you a wonderful day. Our mums do so much for us. Behind the scenes, quietly, constantly. They encourage us to explore the world. They inspire us to do interesting things. A long time ago, one mother inspired her son to do something very special that had a lasting effect on Western philosophy. Everyone knows about Socrates, but not everyone remembers Phaenarete, his mum. Phaenarete was a midwife. This fact significantly influenced her son's self-perception and philosophical method. Metaphorically speaking, Socrates followed his mum's footsteps because he referred to his method as midwifery. Socrates drew a parallel between his mum's profession and his philosophical practice. He described his method of philosophical inquiry as the art of midwifery. Socrates saw himself as helping others give birth to their ideas, much like a midwife assists in childbirth. He believed he could help people bring forth the knowledge already within them by asking probing questions. Through his metaphor of midwifery, Socrates highlights his respect for the process of bringing forth life and knowledge. Plato demonstrates how Socrates explains similarities between assisting in the delivery of ideas and his mother assisting in the delivery of babies. What are those similarities? Just like a midwife helps a woman deliver a baby, Socrates helps people generate their ideas. Not making the baby, just helping. A midwife doesn't create the baby, she helps the baby come out. Socrates doesn't give people knowledge, he helps them find it in themselves. Knowing when it's time. A midwife knows when a baby is about to be born. Socrates knows when someone is close to having a new idea. Checking if the baby is healthy. A midwife checks if the baby is healthy. Socrates checks if an idea is viable. Helping when it's hard. Midwives help when childbirth is difficult. Socrates helps when thinking is difficult. Being empty themselves. Just as midwives do not give birth themselves to the baby, Socrates says he doesn't have his own wisdom to give. Matchmaking. Midwives secretly know who should pair up to have children. Socrates knows which teachers are best for certain people. The explanations of these similarities are presented by Plato. They are detailed. Socrates gives these details with much confidence. Socrates' confidence shows that Socrates the son had a good understanding of his mother's work. Now, how does Socrates' method of midwifery work? Imagine you're a student in ancient Greece, and your teacher, Socrates, is asking you tricky questions. He's not just giving you answers, he's helping you discover them yourself. That's what Maieutics is, and it's super important in Plato's dialogue called the Theaetetus. Maieutics is a Greek word that means midwifery. So a midwife helps a mother give birth to a baby. She doesn't create the baby, but she helps bring the baby into the world. Socrates, using Maieutics, helps people give birth to their own ideas. He doesn't give them the answers, but he asks questions that help them think deeply and figure things out for themselves. In Plato's Theaetetus, Socrates is talking to a young mathematician named Theaetetus about what knowledge really is. The mathematician offers different ideas, and Socrates, instead of saying, "That's wrong," asks more questions. Socrates points out weaknesses in the mathematician's ideas, just like a midwife helps when the birth is difficult. By doing this, they explore the idea of knowledge, and if knowledge can be defined. Socrates believed that everyone has knowledge inside them, just waiting to be discovered. His method of Maieutics was like a tool to help people uncover that hidden knowledge. He believed that true knowledge comes from within, not from being told the answers. Now, why does this matter? Maieutics teaches us that thinking for ourselves is important. Asking questions is a powerful way to learn. We can all discover knowledge if we think carefully. It's challenging to isolate a fragment in the Theaetetus that perfectly encapsulates the Maietic practice. However, we can point to a key section where Socrates explicitly describes his method and how it prompts Theaetetus. This occurs around the section where Socrates introduces the metaphor of midwifery. Socrates explains that he's like his mother, a midwife, but he delivers ideas instead of babies. He says he can tell when someone is pregnant with an idea, and he helps them bring it to birth. He emphasizes that he is barren of wisdom. He doesn't provide ideas, but only assists in their delivery. He also says that he can determine whether the new ideas are true or false, viable or stillborn. In response to Socrates, Theaetetus and those around him are led to grapple with their understanding of what knowledge is. Theaetetus offers his definitions of knowledge, and then Socrates questions those definitions. Theaetetus then is forced to defend or change his definitions. This is the core of the Maietic method. Theaetetus expresses his confusion and also his progression in thought. He is clearly being brought to a state of self-examination. Here is a general idea of how the dialogue progresses. Socrates asks questions like, is perception always knowledge? But what about when our senses deceive us? Can knowledge be simply true opinion? What is the difference between true opinion and knowledge? By asking these questions, Socrates forces Theaetetus to examine the flaws within his own thinking. The essence of the interaction is this. Socrates poses probing questions. Those questions reveal contradictions or weaknesses in Theaetetus' initial assertions. Theaetetus attempts to refine his definitions, struggling with the implications of Socrates' questions, and ultimately experiencing the birth of a new, albeit often still incomplete, understandings. The dialogue itself, with a continual flow of questioning and response, is the best representation of Maieutics in action. Socrates' midwifery method, Maieutics, has a profound and lasting influence on Western philosophy. Here's how. Emphasis on questioning. Socrates shifted the focus of philosophical inquiry from providing answers to asking questions. This approach, the Socratic method, encourages critical thinking and self-examination. It highlights that true knowledge is not passively received, but actively discovered. The importance of self-knowledge. By helping individuals give birth to their own ideas, Socrates emphasized the importance of self-knowledge. He believed that everyone possesses inherent knowledge, and philosophy's role is to help them uncover it. Development of critical thinking. The Socratic method promotes critical thinking by challenging assumptions and exposing contradictions. This approach has become a cornerstone of philosophical inquiry and education. Foundation for dialectic. Socrates' method laid the groundwork for the development of dialectic, a form of philosophical argumentation that involves the exchange of opposing ideas to arrive at a deeper understanding. Influence on Plato. Socrates' student Plato was deeply influenced by his teacher's method. Plato's dialogues, which feature Socrates as a central figure, demonstrate the power of Maieutics in exploring philosophical concepts. Enduring educational value. The Socratic method continues to be used in educational settings to foster critical thinking, problem-solving, and intellectual curiosity. In essence, Socrates' midwifery method transformed philosophy by emphasizing the importance of inquiry, self-reflection, the pursuit of knowledge through dialogue. This approach has had a lasting impact on how we think about philosophy and education. But as we acknowledge the importance of Socrates and his method, it's good to remember his mom, who inspired him. Socrates says in Theaetetus, "And have you never heard that I am the son of a midwife, brave and burly, whose name is Phaenarete?" Theaetetus' response is, "Yes, I have. Then Socrates continues, "And that I myself practice midwifery?" Theaetetus says, "No, never." But in Socrates' own words, "I tell you this long story, friend Theaetetus, because I suspect, as indeed you seem to think yourself, that you are in labour, great with some conception. Come then to me, who am a midwife's son, and myself a midwife, and do your best to answer the questions which I will ask you. What do we know about Phaenarete? Not much. The name Phaenarete means she who brings virtue to light. Historian of philosophy Deborah Nails put Phaenarete's birth date around 484 BC. Phaenarete was married to Sophronicus, who was probably a stonemason. Phaenarete and Sophronicus' son Socrates was born in 470 BC. Socrates was Plato's teacher, and Plato was Aristotle's teacher. Interestingly, in Nicomachean Ethics, Aristotle refers to the bond between a mother and her child as a higher form of friendship. Aristotle explores different types of friendship, and within this, he touches on familial relationships. He recognizes that the love between a mother and child is a natural and fundamental form of affection. Aristotle emphasizes that a mother's love is often characterized by a strong sense of goodwill and self-sacrifice. These qualities align with Aristotle's understanding of higher forms of friendship, where individuals wish the well-being of one another for their own sake. The mother-child bond demonstrates a form of deep, unconditional affection. As Aristotle was influenced by Socrates by Plato, it is possible that he was aware of Phaenarete and her role in Socrates' life. Do philosophical scholars and commentators analyzing the Theaetetus mention Phaenarete? They inevitably address Socrates' use of the midwifery metaphor. Therefore, discussions of Maieutics inherently involve referencing Phaenarete's role, even if not always explicitly. Scholars discuss the importance of the midwifery metaphor and the importance of Socrates' mother's profession. The primary focus of philosophical analysis tends to be on the concept of Maieutics itself, rather than Phaenarete as an individual. Philosophers explore the implications of this method for epistemology, the theory of knowledge, and pedagogy, the theory of teaching. While Phaenarete is not necessarily a frequent subject of philosophical conversations, her role is inevitably linked to the discussions of Socrates' Maieutics method within the context of Plato's Theaetetus. Her presence is felt in any in-depth analysis of Socrates' philosophical method. She's there in the background. Happy Mother's Day! Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video essay. I would like to thank also my mom and my aunt for allowing me to use some of their art pieces to accompany this video.